Boom, and there we are. It's coffee cheers to everyone. Boom, boom. And if you see what I'm doing here, I coffee cheers here because I'm also on Periscope right now. So I've got YouTube camera here, Periscope camera here, and it's Tuesday. How the hell is everyone doing? It's March 7th, 7:40 in the morning. And it's your best pal, Malan D. We got people on Periscope commenting about Jeff Buckley's music. I did a video about Jeff Buckley last week, I guess. And surprisingly, a lot of people didn't know who he was. So that's cool. If I can spread the Jeff Buckley vibe a little bit, that's all good for me. And good for you, because the world needs good music right now. And I feel like in some ways, music is so bad right now, you have to kind of go backwards. Like I'm listening to Pink Floyd, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, these bands that my dad listened to. I went back and started checking them out because no new music is really interesting to me. I mean, if The Weeknd and Drake and maybe Kanye are the best we can do right now, I don't know. I don't even know any rock and roll bands that are killing it anymore. I don't know any. Anyway, what are we talking about? Oh, yeah. Look, so it's Tuesday. I was going to do a video yesterday, but there was some construction going on upstairs from my apartment. And every time I turned on the camera, I'd go, hey, how's it going? And then boom, crash, sirens would go off, hammers were pounding. They must have had a 10-man crew up there redoing the floors or something. I have no idea. But so I decided to just hold off and do this today. But I was just listening to someone on a podcast. He said the funniest thing that I've ever heard made me really laugh about L.A., and it's funny because it's true. He said, L.A., it's a big city, millions of people. He said, but it's a lonely place. It's a lonely place to live. And he said, you spend a lot of time stuck in traffic, and your best friend is a cup of coffee. And when he said that, I just busted up laughing because it's so true. And maybe, I guess we'll talk about L.A. right now. Because Los Angeles, it's true. There's millions of people here, tons of opportunity, incredible museums of art, modern art. There's stadiums. There's performances by every major band you can ever imagine. The Rolling Stones will play at a bar that holds 500 people. Van Halen will do a reunion one night at the Whiskey A Go-Go. And, if you don't know about it, you don't know about it. There's just so much happening. And there's so many people, but it's a really lonely place because, a lot of people that are here are kind of narcissistic and strange actors, actresses, movie stars, music stars, all these kinds of people that just have their head up their ass. But then there's these millions of people, and when you walk around, it's the strangest thing. You can go to a place like, let's say, the Grove, which is a shopping center here. You can go to the Grove. There might be 4,000 people walking around the Grove. But unless you know someone personally there, no one will say a word to you, and you won't say a word to anyone. You can walk around there all day in silence. You almost have to kind of tap someone on the shoulder and break them out of the spell that they're in. Like turn them on and go, hey, we're living in a society. I'd like to ask you about your watch. Like you can snap people out of it, but if you don't, people just walk around like zombies. They don't speak to each other. And there's this weird thing that happens that I've noticed over the years. It's an eye contact thing. I can be dead center, eye-to-eye level with a person who's walking towards me and I'm walking towards them. And we'll just barely pass each other without touching, but we won't acknowledge each other's existence at all. Like there's a weird thing you can do with your eyes. You just you look a little bit to the left and they look a little bit to the right, and it's like you're not there. It's like zombies. It's the weirdest thing. And I'll tell you guys something that goes through my head a lot. Sometimes when I walk up to a traffic stop and I'm on the street walking on a sidewalk, and I'll walk to a traffic light to cross the street, I'm waiting for it to turn green. Someone else will, and they'll approach where I'm at the exact same time. We'll stop at the exact same time at the exact same light on the exact same corner. And I just want to turn to them and go, isn't this crazy? That everywhere we've been in our lives, everything that's happened, all the places we've been, the things that we've seen, somehow the universe has brought us together on this little corner at the exact same time in the exact same place. What are the chances? Like maybe I'm supposed to tell you something, maybe you're supposed to tell me something, but I don't say anything because in LA, if you start talking like that, they'll have you arrested. They'll think you're harassing them or you're trying to have sex with them or you're trying to rob them or it's a setup for some sort of shenanigans. And it's the strangest thing. But when he said, LA's a lonely place. And I was like, yeah, I've heard that a lot. And then when he said, you're stuck in traffic a lot and your best friend is a cup of coffee, I just almost spit out my coffee that I was drinking because it's very, very true. It's one of the few downsides of living here. And I notice it the most when I go home to Oklahoma for Christmas or Thanksgiving or whatever. And the people, the smaller the town that you go into, the nicer the people are. And a lot of people make fun of people in the Midwest and the South. You know, they call all of the states that aren't on the coastlines, they call them the flyover states because people literally fly over them for their entire lives. You know, they're born in New York, they go to college there, and then they grow up and move to California. And they never stop. When they fly home for Christmas, they do their business and travel. It's all Los Angeles and New York, all California and New York, back and forth. And they never stop in any of these smaller states and towns. And so they don't really know what they're talking about when they say, you know, rednecks or whatever. And this is a true story. Like I had a friend and she was born in New York, was living in LA, and she had never stopped in Kansas, Missouri, New Orleans, Mississippi, Oklahoma, none of these places. And she came to visit me once in Tulsa and said, she looked around and goes, I said, what do you think? She goes, this town looks like the place where they film serial killer movies. Like you just feel like it was spooky. And I got it. I started to understand like, the buildings are torn down and there's these weird houses and an old man on this porch drinking a cup of coffee with a pistol on his hip, you know. Some weird stuff goes on. That being said, there's some really nice people in those small towns too. And I'll tell you about Allen, Oklahoma, if you really want to know. If you really want to know Oklahoma, there's this little town, tiny town. 1,000 people maybe live there. I don't know. I'm not a statistician of Oklahoma inhabitants, but it's a very, very small town. There's like a high school, a cemetery, a funeral home, and a gas station, and maybe like a gift shop, you know, a couple people here and there. And that's where my dad grew up. It's where my grandparents lived. And we used to go there for holidays, of course, go see Grandma and Grandpa. And in the summers, we'd go to Allen and spend a few weeks with them. Each boy, each son, or each kid in our family would go for 2 weeks. Or maybe 2 weeks. So like my older brother, Jeremy, would go for 2 weeks. He'd come home and I'd go out for 2 weeks. And they'd take each one of us each summer. So I spent a lot of time there. And what I remember about Allen, Oklahoma, and I just drove through Allen with my uncle a few years back. We went to go. He surprised me. We were going on a road trip, and he stopped in Allen, and we went to the cemetery, actually, where my dad and my older brother are both buried, and we had a little moment there. It was wild. And, you know, my grandma's in there in that cemetery now. My grandpa's there. My cousin is there. A lot of family there, unfortunately, at this point. But we stopped and had the most amazing time, and it brought back a lot of memories. And one of the things I remember, it was kind of like the Andy Griffith show. What's the town they lived in? Andy Griffith, Periscope. Where did they live on the Andy Griffith show? It was Mayberry. Was that what it was called? Mayberry? I think it was Mayberry. Kind of like that. Really small town. Yeah, Mayberry. Everyone knows everyone else. And even if they don't know you, they wave at you. And it's the weirdest thing. Like I remember being a kid walking down the street and everyone in their car that drove by would just smile and wave. Hi, how y'all doing? And you don't know who they are, and they don't know who you are. They just know that you're in their community right now. And so they acknowledge you, and they say, hi, you know, how's everybody doing? We used to think it was really funny when we were kids, like this is really strange, man. But as I get older, you really appreciate that kind of stuff. When you go back to Allen now, there's a 99% chance people will be waving at you. Hey, how y'all doing over there? Good? Okay, good to see you. Have a great day. God bless. It's the strangest thing, especially after 8-9 years of living in LA and becoming accustomed to the kind of the robotic zombie nature that everyone goes through. Like they kind of talk to people only if they can advance their career. And they only want to talk to someone if they've got money or an opportunity or they're, something's going on. They're trying to work a move. But in Allen, Oklahoma, Ada, Oklahoma is the same way. It's just that you're a human on the earth. They see you and they acknowledge you and they go, hey, how's it going? How are you? And part of me thinks that that's the way that we're supposed to be. Like we're not supposed to live in cities with 80 million people in them and everyone's just like zombified, walking around, not looking at each other. Maybe we were meant to live in, little villages and in tribes where everyone knows each other. And if someone new comes in, you acknowledge them, hopefully not in a hostile way, but you at least say hello. Like imagine you were in a tribal village in the Amazon, one of these tribes that they're discovering that are untouched by man. And you walked through their village and no one said a word. If you and like 3 of your friends walked through the village and everyone just kind of looked off in the distance, like that, it wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen, man. Maybe it's not supposed to happen. And maybe it's me. Maybe I need to open the door to more conversation or acknowledgement or anything. I don't know. It's just a strange observation that hit me this morning when I heard that guy say, it makes me laugh every time I hear it. He said, LA's a lonely place, man. He said, you're stuck in your car a lot. Your best friend's a cup of coffee. And it's so true, dude. Speaking of coffee cheers. One more for Periscope. One more for here. I hope everybody's doing well. I don't have any major news to share or anything, although I am getting excited about the show coming up. Man, time flies, guys. The show's coming up Monday of next week, and I haven't played a show in LA ever, so it's going to be interesting. I also wrote a new song about 2 days ago, and I'm finally starting to write songs that I like again, like that I really like. It takes time working it out. And I wrote this song about 2 or 3 days ago. I've been playing it about 10 times a day to get it ready for next week. And I think it's going to be the best song I've got if I can remember the words. So I'm rehearsing it, playing it over. It's kind of a mixture where I always return to, man. My happy place musically, writing, is a combination of like Jeff Buckley and Jane's Addiction. Like that's as close as I can describe what it's going to sound like. And it's not an obvious ripoff of either one. It's just kind of, if you know both bands and you hear what I'm playing, like the chords are definitely from Jane's Addiction, who probably borrowed them from Led Zeppelin. And then the vocals definitely have some Perry Farrell mixed with Jeff Buckley bits and pieces, which, they probably got from someone else. And it's cool. When I wrote it, I finished it and I sat down. I was like, that's it. I'm back to writing. That's what I want to hear. It's weird, as a person who does music, 99% of the music I've ever written, I don't like. I don't want to hear it. 1% is pretty right on point. But I still feel like I haven't gotten it. There's the sound in your head. There's a sound in my head that I'm still not sure that I've ever gotten. But this song is definitely one step closer. So at some point I'll record it. I've been doing rough demos here at the house. I have a microphone right there. And not a bad little demo machine. And at some point I'll record it and maybe post it here. And who knows what's going to happen. There may be a lot more music happening in the future. Who knows? It'll be interesting to play this show and see how it goes. Because it's not a huge place. It's not a super nice place. I don't know the place. The guy that runs it seems to be pretty on point. They seem to know what they're doing. A lot of bands play through there, so we'll see. My thing is that if there's a little bit of a stage or a corner I can stand in, all I require is that the PA has reverb and delay. Those two things have to be. I can't play a club that doesn't have reverb or delay on the vocals. You never, like maybe country singers do that or blues singers, but you would never see Adele or Jane's Addiction or Led Zeppelin or The Doors or anyone perform with no vocal effects. Like if you ever watch Saturday Night Live or any live performance on TV that they're actually singing on and not lip syncing, if you listen, you'll hear it. There's reverb and a massive delay. Like no rock or pop singer performs with no effects. So I hate when you go to a club, and I remember this in the rock days. It was really hard because I was singing hard rock, and I wanted it to sound like Jane's Addiction. So I would ask them to turn on delay. They would say, we don't have any. And then I would pull out a guitar pedal and say, well, I'll sing through this. And they would get pissed because it, degrades the sound. It would make it buzz a little bit. I'd say, well, I have to have something, People would get really pissed. I'll never forget this older guy. At the time, I was probably 19 in Dallas playing the show. And I asked him about the delay. And he said he didn't have any. I said, well, I'm going to use this pedal. He said, no, you're not. I said, yes, I am. And we got into this argument. And he said, what you really need to do is just get comfortable with your voice. Someday you'll understand. And I remember I got so pissed off. I was maybe 19. This guy was probably 35. And I was like, dude, he doesn't get it. I don't care about my voice is not the problem. I have no problems with that. I want to sound like a spaceship when I sing. I want it to sound like a spaceship. I have no interest on singing through a dry microphone. Zero interest. And in the end, he let me use the pedals. And in the end, it did make the microphone buzz. But I'd rather have a lower quality signal than a dry microphone any day of the week. So I did look up they send you the advance sheet for the club. It goes through all the setups, the times, the rules, the PA they have, the monitors, everything. And it did say that they have reverb and delay. So I think I'm going to be set. Anyway, we'll talk more about that as it approaches, I'm sure. It's coming up in, my God, less than a week. Time really sneaks up on you. So we're doing that, doing some campaigns, hanging out, trying to do my best to stay alive and enjoy the planet on a daily basis. I hope you are too. That wraps it up for today. I hope everyone's doing great. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, post them in the comment below this box. If you're on Periscope, a little late for that. And is anyone going to videotape your show? I don't know. I'm going to do my best to at least have a cell phone set up, an iPhone set up. They're asking questions on Periscope, in case you're confused on YouTube. I'm going to do my best to have an iPhone set up with my tripod and at least get that. That's probably about the best it's going to be, which is basically what we did with the last video. And if you check my YouTube channel, there's a video called Malan, Darras with Chris Combs at the Colony. And you can see the quality there. It's listenable. Phones are amazing these days, man. But that's it. We're at 18 minutes. We're going way too long. Everybody have a great day. Remember, you can't see it, but it will be okay. And as always, I love you, and I will see you in the future.